We will ask a question, and then we will select who will start answering, and then, because there's so many of you, whoever answers the first question, the next person going that way, just pass the microphones down. There's two microphones, because we're recording this for channel 16, as well as be able to hear here today. So if you will, pass the microphone down, and then we'll come back up to this end and go that way each time we have a question. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question, which will take 20 minutes for the 10 of you. And we'll
when you speak directly into the mic, they're having trouble back here. I can't even hear you back here.
We only have 2 questions because there's so many of you. We want to have everybody have a chance to answer. And then at the end, each of you will have a minute to extol your qualifications, your virtues, your vision, whatever it is that you want to share with this group of people. So, and I would suggest, because the name tags are smaller than so many of you, that you do 2 things. When you answer the question, I would suggest you stand up, and I would suggest you tell us again who you are, because we have a lot of visually impaired people starting right there. Does everybody understand the situation here? Your names are up here, and the question will be up there when we start. So, with that introduction, Admiral McKinley will give you a 15-second warning when your 2 minutes are about to expire, and again on your 1 minute situation. So with that explanation, we will start with William Sumner. Will answer the first question. So we'll pass the microphone down to him, and there's the question.
I'll get 2.
Well, they're taped, so
You're supposed to use both of them. You're supposed to use both. The question is, what role should city government play in the local economy? 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Bill Sumner, thanks for having me here. Appreciate everybody. Really, the role of city government is to be a facilitator. Government should help businesses of all flavors. You know, the stakeholders in the city are the citizens. Usually the stakeholders are the business owners are also the customers or the taxpayers. So really what the role of government should be is to really, as the old saying goes, the tide should raise all boats. It should help everyone. Things like large businesses are going to require grants for infrastructure, for help. Toledo, Ohio is getting ready to build a Jeep factory for Fiat now, because that's the only way they're going to keep that business. They've already decided. Jeep's talking about leaving. They hadn't even said they're going to leave. They're just talking about leaving. And now Toledo's already building a complete factory, turn everything in it. All they have to do is show up. The workers have to show up. You can't just put a road up anymore. You can't just put a flat spot on the ground for people to build a building. You really have to get out there and help them. I mean, that's because the businesses, I'm still working every day. I know some of you guys have the pleasure of not working every day. Businesses are looking for a competitive advantage. We have to help them. To get them here, we're going to have to help them. Doesn't mean we ignore the guys that are already here. We have to be fair to everybody. We can't put people out of business by bringing in business, but we have to put those incentives out there. We have to help them grow. And then we have to be, you know, I've said in a couple of my writings that our city services are B pluses. You know, people out, I'm walking around downtown talking to the business owners, they say the city's pretty good to work with. I say, how good? Well, they're good, but they're not great. So we really need to be A pluses. We need to be the guys that encourage the small businesses, that encourage the large businesses, that really help everybody to help them grow, because that's the only way we're going to grow our tax base.
They're taped together. So what role should city government play in the local economy? I'm J.S. Moore. I think it's very important that we support our local businesses. Little by little, over the past 10 years, I've seen Kingsport begin to lose its identity. Companies coming in that are also in other cities that make us look like every other city. I think it's important that we encourage our local businesses that are truly local to succeed. When it comes to city government, in our city, I think it's going to be more important to pay attention to the upkeep of our roads and our infrastructure versus starting a winery or building a deluxe pool, whatever. At any rate, I don't want to seem a cynic. I'm very passionate about Kingsport. It's just when it comes to city, I think of Kingsport being very, very special. And if you vote for me, I'll do my best to see that it stays that way. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm Tommy Alterman, and the role I really see the city playing is we've got to be facilitators. We've got to work with all the people. The existing industry base is very strong here, but the problem that we have is we've never extended that, so we need to make sure that we keep our existing industry. And how do you do that is we've got to build a larger existing industry program that gets to know the industries and not wait for them to come to us. We need to be out there going to them. We need to tell the citizens in a timely manner when we're going to deliver their services and do what we say we're going to do. I mean, it's all about serving the people. It's what the role of city government is, in my opinion.
Good morning or afternoon. I believe it's after lunch now or afternoon. So my name is Tom Segelhorst. The city has a role. The first and foremost important thing a city can do is be both citizen friendly and business friendly. And we have to be physically responsible. We can't outspend our means on attracting and recruiting businesses. Now, I say that it is vitally important that we continue to attract and retain what we have. Businesses don't throw darts at a board and say, we want to go to Kingsport, Tennessee. There has to be, what am I trying to say? There has to be rewards for them to come to Tennessee. It's a very competitive market to land businesses of any type, big businesses or little businesses. We have to actively recruit. We have to have a very active economic development program in place that keeps the city moving forward. More importantly, we need to spend time with our existing businesses and industries to make sure that we are meeting all of their needs. It's too easy for a business to pick up and relocate somewhere because of better incentive packages that were or have been or could be offered to them. We need to also pay attention to those folks that are here and have been providing to us for 50, 75, 100, or maybe even 2 years. We have to pay attention to those folks as well. But we have to continually be promoting and recruiting to Kingsport. Thank you.
I'm Darrell Duncan. Thank you so much for letting us be here today. The role of the city government impacts our citizens probably as much or more than what the state is. And so we need to have to inspire businesses to come here. We need to work to retain the businesses that we have. And I think we've got the economics and our Chamber of Commerce to go out and recruit our small businesses, but we still have to retain what we've got. We're losing businesses to Bristol. We're going to have to work harder to do that. I don't think that we should subsidize our small businesses. I think we just need to recruit to get more. And so we need to work through our Chamber of Commerce. We've got a new city manager, and through the means of our Chamber of Commerce, or through Cosby and different means that they've got down there, then I think that the economic situation is right for the environment to get more and more businesses to come. The chances of us obtaining another Eastman is very slim. I just don't think it's ever going to happen. So it's in local businesses that we have to support. We need to strive to get more and more businesses. I read this week that the average new business owner that was coming in was 45 years old. So we need to recruit. We've got a lot of people that's retired your age. It's a value to our community so much that's always had an inspiration to go out and start a new business. And we need to help create those businesses and work with those people.
Can I ask if they hold the mic closer to your mouth? Yes, I'll definitely do that. My name's Robert Ellis, and my stance on this is, as a business owner myself, and I want to address one thing to you all. I don't stand apart from all my candidates. I'm the youngest. I do understand this, and what I feel the local government should do to help our businesses is to be there, be an open ear, be there to hear their problems. We need that same kind of guidance through big and small businesses. Big businesses are just as important as the smaller businesses, but they need to, like I always say, treat your biggest customer just as well as you treat your smallest customer. And I think we just need to make sure that we make Kingsport a viable place for businesses.
Hello, my name is Jesse Hensley. Local government should be for the people who live in the city. I have children, so it should provide great schools for my children, and that's what we have. The programs that they discussed earlier, the Cosby and the other, great programs they have, but we got to look at what brings people here. We didn't lose some of the retail recently because of what we've had in the past, but because we didn't offer something that they wanted. They're in it for the profit. They left for that reason. The new business that's coming in didn't choose there. They felt it offered something we didn't. And that's what we got to address. The rest of it, you know, I love Kingsport. I've always lived here. I've worked with a lot of the developers in Kingsport. When Eaststone Commons was built, those people came here because we offered something that Johnson City and Bristol didn't. That's what we got to try to address, is how do we make ourselves more attractive and get these new industries and not lose what we already have. Now, on the going further on, the job part of it, I think technology needs to be addressed and probably look at more like fiber optic. When you look at Chattanooga, they've expanded their jobs in the tech industry 3,000 to 4,000 in the last 2 years just off of fiber optic that was installed in their city. That's some of the directions that I think we need to look at, is trying to get some of the new technology, because getting the large industries are not going to happen, but trying to get some of the things that will pull in the high-paying tech jobs is what I think we should really invest in.
Hello, I'm Mike Mcintyre, and thank you all for having us. It's city's job to create the environment that attracts businesses, and we do that by many ways. First off, people are looking for a workforce. We've got RECAM, we were able to train people to do different kinds of jobs, so that's very attractive. We have an exceptional school system, so we are providing both people that have children, but as well as having people that can go to work. We need to provide the right kind of infrastructure. We've got to have good roads. We've got to also provide places for people that are starting new businesses. We have to have places they can build that business. We'll have great locations. In terms of our location in the country, we are able to get things to market in a lot of different ways, but we have to make sure those are there. It's government's job, again, to promote the environment and support the environment so that people find this area attractive. We all know this is a great place to live, and we need to convince other folks that it is. We've certainly had some recent success with IntelliHeart choosing to come here, as well as Pure Food, but it's something that we need to work continually on, because if we're going to grow and prosper, we have to have these new jobs and we have to attract more business. Thank you.
Hello, Michelle Mitchell, and again, thank you for this opportunity. You said exactly, it is about environments. Environments are very important for sustainability and for long-term, for approachability for us. And so environments are very important to me, and I do believe that is a great aspect for us to look at as our role within the economy, from the beginnings all the way to the end of that. In my household, vision and order is very important for us to be able to accomplish the goals and the dreams that we have. I don't see that any different with our city. We need to make sure that we have that great vision, those great strategies, a sense of order of why we do what we do. If we create those environments, allow that, there will be a sense of integrity and character that comes along with that, which will create a sense of trust. And if someone is going to want to come and invest in who we are or be a part of what we are, there needs to be a level of trust that can happen with that. And that's the environment that I would look forward to being able to work with a team to be able to create, is listening to our citizens. Myself, I am one of the citizens of Kingsport. I would want to be listened to and know what kind of environment will you present for me that will grow my family, give my kids a great place to go to school, give me a great place to work. If I am a part of a large corporation, that I can speak honestly and truthfully and say, this is where you need to start your business. This is what can happen here. Again, the chamber, it's a great opportunity that we have. We have some great resources that are in place for people, for them to start their businesses, to be able to have courage to start their businesses and people to come behind them with those resources. So environments are very important, and I believe that is our role, is to create the great environment that a job can be created here that sustains our families and that has long-term effects with them.
Hi, Brad Tinglehoff. Thanks for having us. Nice lunch. Appreciate it. We can give tax breaks, ease regulations, and give grants, help people get grants to move here. As far as big business goes, we also need to look at our streets, highways, and bridges and keep them squared away, because nobody probably wants to look at a place that's unattractive and it beats you to death getting from one end of town to the other. City employees, of course, the ones that I've spoken to, police, fire, EMS, regular city employees take care of us. They take good care of us. We need to make sure we take care of them. And I would like to see us initiate more green energy production and installation. If you look around, you don't see any. And we could really provide a lot of jobs that way, and it would be low-tech, simple stuff. And I just think those would be some things that we could look into that would be a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Second question, whoever gets the first answer, please pass the microphone toward me this time, just to give us some randomness here. The second question is, what do you believe are the most urgent issues facing the city government, and how would you address them? Mr. Oldman, would you begin?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Well, first of all, I think one of the major issues that this city is going to face is the educational process, and how are we going to fund the school systems when the county turns over North High School to us? How are we going to handle all the students? How are we going to build facilities that's going to house them? Are we going to take North High School? What are we going to do with it? I've got my own things in mind that I'd like to see them do there. But education, in my opinion, like everybody says, and I think Dr. Alshire has it right when he talks about world-class education. That's something that he's striving for. That's something companies demand, because if you don't have a good education system, they're not coming. And so that's one of the major things that we have. Number two is we've got to really work at economic development. We have no land really to sell anybody anything. I mean, we talk economic development, but we're not really in the game. We got a park in Bristol. You know, I'm talking about Kingsport. Where do we have a park? Now, out there at 26 and 81, we've got a good park. I personally believe we sold that spec building that we have. I think we need to be building another one. Some people may disagree. I think that's how you attract industry. And number three, I think Kingsport's faced with a major issue with the utility company. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with American Electric Power or Appalachian Power, whichever one it is, but we're facing a real dilemma on, are we going to stay with them, or are we going to seek other services, or is the city going to form their own utilities? Thank you very much.
Jason Moore again. I think I came back from Japan last year and I was ecstatic about the bike lanes. But then when I tried to ride on a bike lane, I realized that the culture of Kingsport isn't really ready for a bike lane. One of the first things that I would try to get done is go back to the two-lane roads. Talk to the EMS, and the bottlenecks there where the bike lanes were created actually cause more of a hazard than a help when it comes to bicycling. When it comes to jobs coming to the area, I think it's important that we don't see a lot more service industry jobs that pay less. We need to get jobs that pay more and that offer benefits, because your children and your grandchildren depend on that. You don't want them to come into the workforce at the age 18 and they can't get a job that pays more than $10 an hour. That's what we're seeing in this city. More and more our smaller industries have left and service industry jobs have come in. Another thing that I would explore and would encourage exploration of is maybe burying our power lines and modernizing the city. Johnson City hasn't done that. Bristol hasn't done that. If we did that like we did in some of our newer neighborhoods, I think it would make Kingsport more beautiful. And I'm happy to be here. I'd love to be a part of it. And I think that aldermen should be really the most engaged, listening to the public, and they must be readily available. And I mean, I'd pass out my cell phone number and answer the phone when it rings. Tom answers the phone when it rings. He's always like, "Who is this?" But anyway, thanks for having us.
Hi, Bill Sumner again. I'm going to focus on urgent. Tommy touched on development, which is good. I think we definitely need to worry about that. We need to worry about funding school systems. Those are problems that current government's handling pretty well, and we got staff addressing those things. A couple of really urgent things to me, and the power company, we'll make the right decision on that, because that boils down to who provides the best deal, who provides the best deal for the citizens. We're representing the citizens, so I think we'll make the right choice on those things. Urgent-wise, I think we got two things. First of all is debt. Debt's been climbing. The debt's climbed in the last 7 years about $100 million. That's a lot of money. $1 million here, $1 million there, like you said in Pentagon. That's after a while it adds up. I mean, it's real money after a while. We're talking real money, which is going to limit. And the reason it's important, it's not because it's not necessarily all bad debt. Some of it's good debt. I mean, sometimes you have to invest to grow. You guys are business owners, you know that. You have to plow money back into the business or it's not going to grow. So that's one thing we need to worry about. We need to control our spending, make our spending visible, make sure we're getting a return on our investment, not just throwing money at things. I'm not saying we are. I'm just saying that's what we need to be careful about. Number two is quality of life. I'm spending a lot of time in Colonial Heights walking around. People need to want to live in the city. We need to make tax, but with the referendum, we can only grow by referendum now. We have to make people want to come in. And now there's talk in state capitol yesterday, or the committees were passing anti-annexation bills, where people could actually opt out of that are annexed, being opted out. Nobody thought it was going to pass, but it sure looks like it may. That's the urgent thing we've got to worry about. We need to worry about keeping our taxes low, making our quality of life great by investing properly, keep developing these amenities, keep bringing in, do the things we're all talking about doing about industrial growth and small businesses and that sort of thing. Make people want to live here and make a place they can afford to live, so we don't lose folks. We got to grow to keep our tax base up. 54% of our revenues, general fund, are from the property taxes. So need to keep that up, guys.
Hi, Brad Tinglehoff again. It's not an urgent issue right at the moment, but it certainly could be in the future. We have urban blight, not a lot, but if we keep letting it happen, it's going to creep up on us, and this place is going to look pretty awful. And we have homeless problem that's not being addressed at this time, I don't believe, and we could look into that more. We're doing okay with our streets, and so far we're doing good as far as I can tell. I've been trucking for the last 8.5 years, so I'd have to be brought up to speed on urgent issues, but I'm cooperative and I would have an open ear to whatever is presented. I'm sure that what we would present today isn't what we're going to present this time next year. So I think we should just really take a good look at this urban blight and try to get it squared away somewhat before it overwhelms us, and the homeless problem too. Thank you.
Michelle Mitchell again. When I was asked this question about, as I'm having conversations, what is the one thing that's sticking out for me of Kingsport? And as you've heard, there's quite a bit of issues that could be discussed. But the one thing that has really caught me to really notice is the lack of engagement in what's happening with just our citizens with the want to even vote. That says something. That says that there's a lack of trust that's happening, or that there's a apathy that's happened within our community, which comes down to these underlining tones of what is urgent. If we're not seeing that engagement of our community to want to be a part of making the big decisions of how their city is going to grow, how their city is going to look, then we need to make our communications a little bit better maybe, or have that approachability to discuss these urgent issues that we are facing. One of the things that I try to be aware of is not to allow emotion to take over and dictate to me what is urgent. I want to be able to look at all the pieces and be able to survey them, all that data, and then be able to choose and pick and cut away what is maybe not so healthy for us, but what those things that is healthy for us. Sometimes something may look good and you may think it needs to be looked at or invested into, but just because it looked good doesn't mean maybe it is the thing that we need to be paying attention to at that time. So as I'm listening to the things that's already been described to me, and again, I'm new in this arena here in Kingsport. I've grown up here, been a part of living here, worked with youth, and I understand that the way that we cause things to happen for people to be engaged is through empowerment and to bringing all of us along together for things that we are doing. So as I continue to go down this journey, continue to learn, continue to listen, continue to hear what those urgent things are being brought to the table, if it's a community that needs to be brought in, if it's businesses for jobs, then that's what I want to be able to do.
Thank you. Mike Mcintyre again. I think there are two issues and they're intertwined. One is sound financial management for our city, and the second is job creation. We're at a threshold in our city where things have changed a bit. We've grown quite a bit the last few years. Much of that's been by annexation, but there's been other things that have been part of that. The legislature saw fit to stop that last year and go back to annexation by referendum, and they've also been pretty unclear about how that's going to work. And until that's cleared up, we're kind of sitting, and so we're going to have to see where that goes. So that's kind of, if you will, slowed the revenue for the city in many ways. And the only way we're really going to change that is by job creation in both the existing businesses and new business. And we just commented about how we need to work on that, and I won't say it again, but we have to work and do the many things that are going to make us an attractive city to live, to work, and to play. And hopefully that attracts jobs and attracts people, and it ends up putting revenue in your pockets and in the individuals' pockets, and eventually in the city's coffers that lets us continue to do the things that we need to do.
Well, I have a little bit different view. My concerns are 13 and a half miles away. That's roughly how long it would take to get to Bristol. And I see a group of stores here and a group of stores there, and it makes me wonder, are they going to follow suit with some others and leave this location and have one single location in Bristol? And we have an aging shopping centers here, and you can go through the city and see empty boxes here and there. That's what worries me, is as these leases run out, are they going to stand up and go to the next city? It took a lot of work to get these people here, and if they follow suit as a couple of other stores have, eventually that tax money will be being spent there. And that's what worries me, is that we're going to lose that tax base that we've worked 10 years to get on these different shopping centers, and that's what would concern me.
Robert Ellis again. What concerns me is, as a business owner, I know of good investments. We need to start making investments that, we see a quick turnaround on. That's great to make an investment that will see profits in the future, 10 years from now, But what happens to those profits when the debt level raises every year? Those profits are eaten up. So we need to focus on bad debt. I mean, when you're on a Roman noodle budget, do you go and buy filet mignon? You don't. You have to look at your debt level. Another thing is, Mr. Alderman was saying, is our school systems. The people I've talked to in this community, a lot of them are urged to move here because of our school systems, because it gives us a prestige here, because we have such a great school system. So we do need to focus on our school systems and make sure that they stay at the levels that people are excited for them to be at.
Thank you, Darrell Duncan. We just closed the books on 2014 for our city, and it shows that we have in good health for 14 straight years. It shows that we've had good documentation and reinforces our city's growth. We are 6.5% in debt to our assets. That is $220 million. And so I think that we need to separate and have a distinction between needs and wants. We need to grow our city and spend money in that direction. We need to work on our infrastructure and our roads, our failing water system and sewer systems in some areas. And we need to bring more people to Kingsport. We need to bring more people to Kingsport and help them live in our environment and spend money here. For every new couple that comes to Kingsport, they spend $25,000 per year. We need to be good stewards of our taxpayers' money and help this city grow and reduce the debt. The more people we get here, the less debt we're going to have.
Tom Sekelhorst, it's hard going last because everybody got everything already. And asking that question is kind of the same as asking somebody what keeps them awake at night. And here's what keeps me awake at night from a city standpoint, and that's to be able to continue to provide a balanced budget. Year in, year out, we have to continue to be able to provide a balanced budget. In order to do that, we have to have good economic development. We have to have a good quality, well-funded education system. We have to have good infrastructure. We also have to spend our capital wisely. Your debt comes from your capital expenditures. We have to monitor what we're spending and spend what we're spending wisely. You have to look at it to make sure that you're going to get return on investment from the money you spend. Do you get return on investment from quality of life projects? Absolutely. It's what keeps people in Kingsport, quality of life projects. But you also have to balance quality of life projects with infrastructure projects. We have a 70-year-old water delivery system. From the river to the water plant is 70 years old. Yes, we currently have a project on the books that's going to fix that. That's a year away, at least. We have a very well-developed waste treatment plant. We have some projects on the books that will help keep that waste treatment plant compliant. If you have an overflow, you have problems with the EPA. We have a project on the books to keep the waste treatment plant compliant. Education. Education is absolutely critical. It's part of your economic development engine. As some of the other candidates said, that's what attracts businesses, industries, and families to Kingsport, is a well-rounded, funded education system. Again, physically responsible, however. You can't spend money to improve education continuously. And last is job creation. Again, thank you.
Thank you, panel. Now we'll have the 1-minute summation by each of the candidates. Since Mr. Sekelhorst has been able to go last, we'll allow him to go first. All right.
Again, thank you all so much for being here. An educated voter is one of the most important assets that the city has. Somebody that makes good common sense decisions. I'm starting on my 4th budget process this year. I've been fortunate to be able to serve as an alderman for the past 4 years. I understand the budget and the budget approval process. I understand the capital spending process. I pride myself in thinking through decisions and making a good common sense decision. We can't continue to spend and spend and spend. There are things that we have to spend on, of course. We have to keep the city viable. We have to keep the city growing. We've got a great city staff that does a wonderful job in maintaining and operating the city efficiently. We need to support them in what they do. Again, thank you.
Well, thanks for having us today. And let me just start out by saying, you know, I've been in government all my life. I'm a product of the city system here. I was born here and raised here. And I've been in government service my entire career. I know what you expect of a representative. I was on the county commission for 7 years. And I know that you guys want to change the way things are being done. And if you do, I think I'm your man. I will listen to you, and I'll guarantee you that I'll be straight with you. And I appreciate this opportunity to be here. It's all yours.
Thanks. All right. Well, I'm Jason Moore again. Thanks for having us. My favorite quote growing up came from a man who happens to share my birthday. His name was Albert Schweitzer, and he said, I don't know what your destiny will be, but the only ones among you who will truly be happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. And we each really should ask ourselves a question when we wake up each day: who are we serving? For me, I'm choosing to be a public servant. Should I get elected, I'm going to be a public servant either way. But I think it's important that we examine who we are as people, and that'll expand in who we are as a community. At any rate, Kingsport's special. Let's keep it special. Thanks.
I didn't know we had to have a quote for this. So I don't have one, sorry. I'm Bill Sumner again. You know, I've heard a lot of great answers up here. You guys, we're all lucky as citizens to have really a lot of good people to choose from. To me, the city is a business. It's a nonprofit business. Its product is quality of life for all of us. Our job as board of mayor and alderman, to me, is like board of directors of a company. We're the overseers. You know, to Tommy's point, the city, or actually, I think it's Tom's point. City has great staff. I've worked with them on boards. They're great, super to work with. We've got a great city manager. We've got a great future ahead of us. It's all about picking the right overseers, picking the folks with the best experience, which is your job. It's not my job. I put myself up here so you guys can pick on me. So it's your job to pick the right person for the job. Look at the qualifications, and let's just get the right folks. I don't know that we'll lose with any of us, but that's your job. Thanks a lot.
Thanks again for having us, Brad Tingelhoff. In this bewildering world, we have to decide what to believe and how to act on those beliefs, which is what aldermen do. You only get one vote out of 7 people to decide what the majority is going to be and where we're going to direct individual items on the agenda. I have very few preconceived ideas about the task at hand, and nothing to gain with the exception that I did something good for my fellow man and woman and made Kingsport a better place to live. And if you believe that an average blue-collar guy could be beneficial to the city, I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Again, Michelle Mitchell. I am completely honored to be able to have an opportunity, and that's one of the great things about our nation, is that any of us have this opportunity to go put our name down on a piece of paper and turn it in, to be able to be servants, as you're saying. And so I consider that a great honor. With the work that I do, working with a global nonprofit, we're in 17 different countries, and USA being one of them. And when I go in and I meet people in a city and I work with a local government, local nonprofits, and with a local church, to be able to see the resources that are there and how we can leverage those resources for the best for the city. I'm reminded that a city is a city when you really look at what the definition of a city is, it's about people. And people are very important to each and every one of us. You're sitting in this room because people are important to you. I will work hard for you. I will learn what I need to learn to be able to be wise. Being able to have strong returns on investments are very important, and so I will work for you.
Thank you, Mike Mcintyre again, and thank you for the opportunity to showcase our qualifications and our goals for our city. We're entering a season that will require a great deal of focus on job creation and on sound financial management. We also need to carry out a new visioning process because we're about to enter our second 100 years. And we need to focus on the maintenance of our infrastructure so we have a good foundation, not only for our services we provide, but for growth. I believe I have the experience, the knowledge, and the sound judgment that will help us through the next few years, and I certainly request your vote and support in the next election. Thank you all.
I was born in Holston Valley Hospital, married my high school sweetheart. We have 3 kids that are in the Kingsport school system, or will be. I got a little one that's almost there. I care about Kingsport. The buildings I've worked on or demoed, I care what businesses went into those facilities. I want them to do well, and I want us to succeed. And that's why it kind of made me want to run, is because when I see them not succeeding and leaving, that's what I want to change. The 17 years that I've worked with our family business doing construction, I've got to know many of the people in the city. I've got to know many of the people that go out and do the construction and pay for it. And I know what problems they have in Kingsport that they don't have in other areas of the Tri-Cities. And I think that's what we need to address, is making it to where we can succeed better than we are now.
Robert Ellis again. The main question that I've been asked is, are you crazy? I said, well, I have too good of a name in Kingsport, might as well run for politics. No. 8 years ago, I started a business. It has grown 75% every year I've been in business. I started in my grandfather's backyard, and now we are selling to major supermarket chains. That proves financial responsibility, needs to balance a budget, and, you know, my desire to do better here in Kingsport. Why I am so passionate about Kingsport is that's where these great citizens is what made my business get to where it is today. And if you ask yourself, why is it the number of years you've been on this earth that matter? Why isn't it what you have done in those years that truly matter? And I hope I get your vote.
Darrell Duncan, I would like to thank you so much for letting us be here today and all the work that you've done in the community for so many years. At a recent carousel gala, there was one of our prominent citizens gave me words of advice, and it was enjoy the experience. And so I've taken that from one end of Kingsport as I've met people to the other end, and I have enjoyed that. But I would like to take that farther, and I will enjoy new people moving to Kingsport. I would like to experience new businesses that we don't even know who they are yet, but they're going to become here and growing in that. And it's going to help us financially. I will be available, I'll be approachable, and I will listen to our citizens, and I will work as hard as I possibly can for our citizens of Kingsport. I thank you again for letting us be here. I so humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.